No limit 50. Flips are now worth 3 digits. Rake doesn't count. Think about that for one moment. This might be very small stakes relative to the entire spectrum of poker stakes, but it's very real money. $100 USD represents a significant sum of money to lots of people. This is more than a day's worth of work at minimum wage in the United States, and it's not close. For young people who can only get minimum wage work, winning one stack at no limit 50 is close to a day's work. 8 times $7.25 equals $58. The minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. This is pretty much why I got into poker while I was in college. In other countries, this can be a month's work. I have some poker friends where without poker they'd make between $1 to $4 an hour because that's a normal wage in the countries they live at. What does this mean? Why am I talking about this? You will start to see professional players at this limit, some of which who have been there for a very long time. They may lack talent, but this is unlikely the main reason. They may be extremely stubborn and refuse to acknowledge they're pretty bad and try to improve. That's more likely. And they may approach information in an extremely unproductive way. I think that's the most likely. So, no limit 25, we're getting to the point where we're going to start seeing a lot of professional players because it can be a very reasonable amount of money even in very developed countries, and in less developed countries, no limit 50 is really good money. Like, even if you're just rake back grinding no limit 50, if you're in some countries that are much poorer, that's considered really good money. So you are going to see professional players at this limit, and we really have to focus and want it to beat them because they're going to want it too. Furthermore, no limit 50 is usually not a starter limit. Regulars here moved up. So most people don't start off playing no limit 50, they've actually moved up limits to get here. So your regular opponents are a little bit better. Combating regulars. No limit 50 can still be beaten pretty comfortably while playing like a complete nit and taking fish money. No limit 100 is usually where this stops working and why it is the nit limit in my opinion. Playing like a nit is not an effective way to beat no limit 50. If we do play this way, we'll have a mediocre win rate and get stuck at no limit 100. Minimizing stupid mistakes was our job at no limit 25. Now our job is to start playing better and higher variance poker. There are enough regulars that we now need to be focused on beating regulars and winning money from them rather than just fish. So hopefully this sounds kind of exciting to you if you're still playing no limit 25 or lower, because I was just in the last quickie talking about how we want to just not make big mistakes, we'll mostly beat the fish. Hopefully you sort of got that down by now, and now it's time to start doing a little bit more complex stuff and start beating regulars, beating other players who make a lot of their income from poker. Our job is going to be now to take money from them. Required fundamentals. Every 3-bet defending range, 3-betting range, and cold calling range more or less memorized from every position against every position. This does not need to be extremely precise since some ranges actually require fractions of combos. Don't waste forever trying to get all these ranges perfect. It's an interesting exercise, but not worth the time. So when I say this, and this is a much higher standard than most people probably have for no limit 50, I want you to be quick, and I want you to realize what ranges should look like in every single position, because it's one of those things that's going to be much easier and quicker to sort of learn away from the tables, and it's not that hard. This isn't as hard as it sounds if you simply remember the worst hands you defend with from every position. Once again, this doesn't need to be perfect, but if under the gun opens, you really shouldn't have to scratch your head and sit there for a long while thinking, okay, do I flat with 7-8 suited in the cutoff or not? I don't remember. Have an idea of what you do and why. For example, you can say, oh, middle position opened and I'm in the button. I call with 4s and 6-5 suited and better versus most, and call with ace-jack off based on blank. Then you can fill in blank with whatever you want. And that's actually pretty similar to my thought process there. So, I can call with pocket 3s or pocket 2s sometimes, or I can fold 6-5 suited sometimes. They're all very close in strength, but in general, that's around what I'm calling with. And then with a hand like ace-jack off, which doesn't flop a lot of great hands, and against a middle position opening range that's relatively tight, there's some stats that I look at to see if I want to play ace-jack off. That's more or less what your thought process should look like. The exact range there doesn't matter. I was just using pocket 4s and 6-5 suited as an example. So if you want to call with pocket 2s or pocket 3s there, that's fine. It's just an example. But your thought process should look like that, and it should be very, very quick.